Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shruti Sinha, and we are in the last leg of the webinar of today, which has been organized by the School of Public Policy and International Affairs under the Igniting Mind series of Jagran Lake City University. I have with me Dr. Abhishek Laktakia, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of JSW Foundation. We would be discussing about the integration of CSR and public policy space. But before I actually hand over the session to Dr. Abhishek, I would like to formally introduce him to you guys. So Dr. Laktakia, here's a small, introduction of yours. Dr. Abhishek is a doctorate in public administration and comes with rich development sector experience of over 18 years. Before joining the JSW Foundation, he has worked with corporate foundations such as Reliance, ICICI, global consulting firms like EY, and prestigious NGOs like CRY and Childline India. Dr. Abhishek has rich experience on CSR compliance, strategies, designing and setting up systems and processes for effective program management and strengthening partnerships. He also designed and implemented programs in livelihood education, public health, and child rights. He has developed internal control systems, undertaken grant assessments, led need assessment and impact assessment studies, developed organization structure for multiple corporate foundations as well. So Dr. Laktakia, thank you so much for joining us. And I now hand over the session to you.
Thank you, Shruti. It's my privilege to be part of this webinar, and I congratulate Jagran Lake University to host a webinar on such a wonderful topic, and which is sometimes people know about, sometimes people don't know about. But I think public administration and CSR is something very new, and I think I must congratulate because JLU probably is a pioneer in starting this discussion on public administration and CSR. And I welcome all the participants who are part of this webinar today. Good afternoon to all of you. Before starting my webinar, I have one or two questions to start with. If we would have been face to face, I would have been doing it very differently. But since it's a webinar, I would like to have what, according to you, is a public administration? What do you know about public administration? What does the word public in public administration mean? So if anyone can respond, one or two responses will be okay for me.
I would encourage the participants to give their responses through chat to us. We can let Abhishek sir know about it. And in the meantime, so you can continue. I'll come back to you with the responses from the participants.
Sure. So I think a lot of time when we talk about public, I'll give response. In fact, someone would have responded, but a lot of time when we use word public, it's like public is like we as individuals, as human beings, as in normal public. But in public administration, the word public is very different. It is government. Our systems are, it is called government administration. So that clarity to start with, I wanted this clarity because we know why we as individuals, how closely we are linked to the government systems, why we need government administration, what all information we should be aware of when we join any course on public administration and public policy. Generally, in most of the subjects, when you join public policy or public management or arts or other subjects, you generally are not exposed to the government systems, how government functions, what are the structures, what are the layers, how the policies are formed, even though everyday life of ours is governed by a policy, by a public policy. But we are not exposed how it is formed, who all are there, who makes these policies, what are the structures available, what is our role as a citizen in forming those policies. We are not aware about that. Public administration, I would like to start with a story, is something not new. I joined public administration in 1997. It's 22 decades I have completed in public administration space. But just a very little story, and I would like to share. When I joined public administration, even I was not aware. What is this? What public administration is? Why I'm joining this course? only focus I had was, okay, when if I'll join public administration, I will take public administration as a subject, as a public policy as a subject in my civil services. That will help me join the government administration as an IAS or a state servant, state civil servant. But I had no other exposure. But in last 2 decades, I think this is one area where there's so much exposure and so much acceptance have come in. Every industry, every corporate, international organizations, development sector organizations have really now looking forward to students, looking forward to people who have exposed to public administration, because they can contribute a lot in their functioning. I'll just take you to one of my slides and give you some of the options, because a lot of you must have this question, why I'm joining this course, or why should I join this course? Just see this option of so initially, if you see, what the basic thing is, okay, you can be part of the government administration, civil services, joining the civil services, but there are multiple options available now. Why? You can join corporates in the HR space. You can join corporates in the IR space. Government affairs is something very, very important, which is a department in any corporate which can help you after taking this course, what all learnings you will have, you will really excel in this sector. And third important piece is the development sector opportunities, where you can join philanthropic foundations, you can join UN institutions, you can join NGO, INGOs, international organization, anything you can join after this course, because this will give you overall wide exposure of the local government systems, about social issues, social challenges, management, project management. Every area it will cover once you take this course, and throughout the journey of this course. A lot of you must be a student also in public administration and public policy. You must be knowing. So a lot of subjects teaches you to take this sort of a career option. One area which really is emerging now after 2013 is the corporate social responsibility. This is becoming an area which is a law, which is a legislation, which is a compliance by the corporate, and they are really looking forward to individuals, students, people who can join corporate foundations and really excel in that sector. Now, a lot of you must be knowing what CSR is. So just very briefly, I will explain, how corporate social responsibility has evolved in last few years. It's not new. It started with merchant charity from 1850 to 1941, when where all the merchants who were part of the business enterprise, they were donating something as part of their income. Then it moved to corporate philanthropy, where they started doing some benefits, giving some benefits to their employees, and considering that as a corporate philanthropy. From there, it moved to environment. People started talking about environment. People started talking about community around their manufacturing units. And then, once this entire economy opened up to globalization, a lot of multinationals started coming up, and there were a lot of philanthropic activities they were doing, and they started doing philanthropic initiatives across their units, across their areas, and within aligning to their business opportunities. But 2013 onwards, there's a big shift, and now it's a compliance. India is the only country in the world where CSR is a law, and every corporate within the eligibility criteria is now supposed to be part of this and have to have some sort of a percentage, 2% of their profit before tax as part of the CSR, and that money needs to be utilized for community empowerment. Very quickly, I will not take you, this is a theoretical thing. You can always see what is the applicability of the Companies Act. Any companies whose net worth is 500 crore or more, turnover of 5,000 or more, or net profit 5 crore or more, needs to invest in corporate social responsibility. But this law has actually changed a lot. It has changed. It has given a responsibility to company. It has changed the implementation in strategy. It has changed how you monitor and report your programs, and it has also taken government into consideration, because now what are the expectations from the government from this law? Why I am talking about this, because you must be wondering, public administration and CSR, how closely linked these two things are. it is very closely linked, because since now this has become a compliance, there's an immense role of the government to make corporates use this money in a way that it leads to social development. And there, the balance between the corporates' expectations and companies' strategy is required, and where, as a student, as a someone who has a learning on the systems, public administration system, or a public policy can play a very important role. And I'm saying this by experience. Why? Because since I have seen a lot of my colleagues, and plus individually me, how I am contributing to the CSR space since last few years. Being a student of public administration, being the learnings that I got from public administration as a subject, I have been able to contribute a lot to the corporates for making a strong strategy, and that is an executable strategy. There are emerging trends where there are a lot of expectations. There's emphasis on monitoring, I already told you, and how we scale up programs. These are certain emerging trends which are coming up in the CSR space, and companies, public administration, and linkages with CSR is something that is coming up in a big way. Earlier, a lot of corporates were doing CSR in silos without getting involved in any government schemes, without getting even like talking to the district or the local administration or the state administration. And a lot of time it was replicating, a lot of time it was a small pilot. There was no scale up, there was no ownership by the government on those interventions that they were doing for social development. But this emerging trend where now government and corporates can come together, how they can take this forward and actually make this CSR a big way, is something that is coming up. I'm giving this picture, if you can see on the screen, CSR is just a small, negligible, contribution that corporates can make as compared to the government social sector spend. You see, 14.47 lakhs crore, is going in the government sector spending as compared to 8691 crores of the CSR. This is 2018-19 data, where what is the contribution, overall contribution of the CSR in the social from the corporates, plus what is the contribution of the government in the social sector spending. So if you see, a lot of time people say, can corporates take up this social development role? They can, but they cannot own it. The ownership lies with the government, with the public administration system. New policies have to emerge, new policies have to come to supplement, how corporates supplement and complement these social development initiatives. This is something that is very, very important. So if you see how both public administration system and corporate social responsibility can complement each other, what is their expectation of what can corporates do as part of their CSR? They can invest for innovative solutions, which they are doing. A lot of time you see, corporates they really develop some solution, which is something government has never thought of, or government has not been able to do it because they are because of their routine day-to-day initiatives. As CSR, there is a strong alignment of CSR programs is required with national, state, and district priorities. Generally, corporates fail in alignment and they are not able to scale up their program and not able to get ownership from the government and in their programs, because there's no alignment. There's a misalignment between what they are doing versus what is required in the area. Strong collaboration with government for scaling up programs. You don't have, any corporate doesn't have so much of money. Even Reliance Foundation, which is the largest foundation, has almost 800 crores of budget as a CSR, can't do any intervention at a scale which is a pan-India level. They can't have any intervention they can empower which can provide support to the entire population. That is, only government can do it. You have seen in a lot of time as a government, when they roll out a scheme, they roll out for the entire country. They don't roll out for in pieces. But as corporate social responsibility, what we can do, corporates can just take up that intervention, pilot it, and then try to collaborate with government to scale it up. Here, there is a strong connect with the public administration system and the corporate social responsibility to come together, and scale up your program. Now, the expectations that every corporate has from the government systems is what they can do for them. So we need strong ownership from the government to scale up their innovative models. We need access to the government systems. I'll give you an example. For example, if you have, as a corporate, I want to have an intervention for teachers training. Unless and until we get access to the teachers, access to the schools, government schools, and the district education or the state education department, I will not be able to execute that program in full capacity and with full ownership if we don't get access to the system. And third, there's a strong role that government can take in making the CSR success is facilitation of various corporates, how they can converge and work together with government. A lot of time what we see, there is one location where multiple corporates are there and each corporate is doing same intervention and they are not collaborating with each other, they are not converging with each other. There's a parallel system which is running up, which is something that is not, is something that should be practiced. And that's role government can take, as public administration, our local government, as district administration, our state administration can take to facilitate conversion between various corporates. I would like to just give you one, two case studies. In fact, how when we talk about public administration, what support public administration can give us in terms of scaling up that program, what role they can play. There's one beautiful. I think before coming to the case study, if there's any question I can take now, should be any question I have.
Yeah, Dr. Abhishek. First of all, I received 2 answers for the question that you had asked from Ankita and Shubham, which are very much in sync with what you have told up till now. So I congratulate both the students who have, answered the questions. So thank you so much for participating. And this is a generic question which I would like to ask you before we actually move to the case study part. We talked about the collaborative part of CSR, that the firms should come together and collaborate and, and then get into the projects. So there's one thing which we would like to understand, that CSR projects usually have a cycle of 1 year, right? So and you have to complete that within that 1 year cycle. So what is a better strategy, to do the CSR projects in the project mode or to collaborate with others, or single-handedly do it in the program mode? So that's one question that we would like to ask.
Right. I think it's a very, very good question. And, just to respond to you, when we started CSR in 2014, that was the first year, there was a lot of confusions around us, around as corporates, what we should be doing, whether it will be a 1 year cycle or a 2 year cycle, because we come to know about our profits, and then we come to know about our budgets for the CSR every year. For next 3 years, I don't know what will be my budget. So should I plan for 1 year? Should I plan for 3 years? That question, always we used to have. But from development sector perspective, if you see 1 year program, will there be any impact? That question all of us asked from ourselves, and we didn't had any answer. And the only answer that we had, no, you can't show impact of any program, social development program, in 1 year's time. So then what is the solution? So we brainstormed internally, we discussed with various people, we discussed with our board, with our CSR committee. Then we took a call, and I'm giving you as an example of my example, but I have been in touch with various corporates and my colleagues in various organizations. All of us are doing the same thing now. Is no, we are not going to do a 1 year program, strategize a 1 year program. What we will be doing, we will be working at least minimum 3 year program. And since now the question is, you don't know what is your second year and a third year budget, how are you going to do that program? So there, the role is the collaboration, as you mentioned, Shruti. Can we design a 3 year program and look for like-minded corporate, who can come with us and take this program in a 3 years program in a project mode? Since Act also doesn't allow individual activity, one-time activity, we need to have a project We need to have an outcome, output, impact indicators. We need to monitor our program. We need to show our impact. So if we have to do all of these things, we need to have a long-term program. And a lot of time collaborations have started coming in. So just to give you an example about JSW Foundation, very live example, which is where all these questions plus one of the alignment to the system also comes in. In Palghar district, which is very close to Mumbai, 150 kilometers from Mumbai, it's a watershed district, and JSW, so the government of district administration actually called a meeting with all the corporates around that belt and asked us to desilt all the watershed water structures there, all the ponds. It was coming up some like 10-15 crores project, and they're saying that every 5-6 corporate, they just pull in 2 crore each and do all the desilting so that there's a water in the ponds, and people can use it for agriculture purpose. JSW Foundation actually met the district administration and the state administration and said, like, there's no point doing desilting, because we will be doing desilting, and next 2 years time again the pond will be silted, and then again you have to do desilting. This is not a sustainable activity. What we said is now JSW Foundation will invest in a study, in a scientific study, which will give us what all is required and where to make this area water secure, not water positive, but at least water secure. What all structures are required, what all watershed programs are required. So everything we need, but we need a scientific study. And we conducted that study through a CII Watson tool. It's a scientific tool. It took 3 months for us to do that study. Not much of amount. It was only 15-20 lakhs we invested in that study. And that study gave us a picture of a full Palghar district, which is now a Bible for the district administration and other corporates to take their piece and do what program they want to do. So this is something, and now what district collectors after that did, he stopped all the funding which was going to desilting and said, okay, we will wait for your study to come, and we will partner with all your corporate. Whatever fund we have, we will invest as a district, and we will take this area water neutral in some time. So this is some live example I have, which may answer your question, Shruti.
Yeah, so Abhishek, I'll just take a cue from this response of yours and elaborate it a little bit. I understand collaboration is fine. The audience will also understand that collaboration for projects is okay, and this is how the government and the corporates are collaborating to do the projects. But then what happens to the reporting aspect of it? How do you split your project from the total project and report about its impact and other things? So if you can just touch upon that as well.
Sure. So the Act allows 2 companies to collaborate for a common project. So that's the Act allows us. And what we do, if we collaborate, if it's a joint project and whether funding comes equal or 30-70 or 60-40, but the project is one. So both the companies report to their board that this is the project that they are doing in collaboration with other companies. So if JSW Foundation will partner with, suppose Tata's, and Tata's and JSW working together on a common project, we will also report it in our reporting, the compliance reporting, and Tata's will also report in their compliance reporting that this is a project, we will be doing it. Jointly we monitor, but separately we report it. And the Act also allows us, so it's a compliance.
Abhishek, sir, we can now move on with the case studies, I guess.
Yeah, so just to give you, I gave one example of Palghar, but this is something, how a lot of you must be knowing 108 helpline, that emergency response service, but I'm not sure if all of you know about the history. This 108 emergency response service actually started by GVK Foundation, which is a social arm of GVK Group. They piloted in 2 districts in Andhra Pradesh, and this is one of the high-tech program that they started with a toll-free helpline number, where you just dial the number and the vehicle will reach on the spot and provide necessary medical support. It was the first integrated emergency management system which was piloted by GVK Foundation. GVK Foundation was doing it for some years, but then they actually looked at how they can influence the policy. and they started advocating for that. And very soon, this entire thing got picked up by the Andhra Pradesh government first, because they worked very hard, they advocated very hard with the to make this integrate into a policy of the state and the central government. And then it got integrated, and now it is now in collaboration with National Rural Health Mission. It is almost in majority of the Indian state we have 108 emergency responses. This is one of the most successful case studies we have seen. Why? Because how, as a corporate, they started a pilot within their limited budget, they implemented it and then advocated for it, worked very hard with the state administration and the national administration, national government, and then now this is part of the National Rural Health Mission, which is a national level policy, national level mission. So this is something how we can do it, as now, the question is how this happened. This happened because you have to understand the government's priority, and it's the advantage that we as a student of public administration have, that we understand the policy, we understand the priorities, we understand the government structure, and this actually help us to pitch with the government. As a corporate, if you are in a corporate foundation working in a CSR foundation, you can easily work in these set of initiative where you can work very closely with government, make a very strong pitch, advocate, because you know the system, you know their mindset, you know who is a relevant stakeholder to map. And this is something that is an advantage which any public administration or a public policy student have, unlike with other subjects. My second case study is the Satya Bharti School. This is initiated by Bharti Foundation, which is Bharti Foundation is a foundation of Airtel Group. Everyone know Airtel Bharti Group. People doesn't know. They initiated this one school in Amritsar, and it was like why they wanted to have a model around this rural school with good infrastructure, quality teaching. They have all these SOPs in place. They have all the standardization in place. Every Satya Bharti school will be of the same standards. They piloted with one school, moved to another school in Ludhiana, and then this entire intervention was picked up by Punjab government. They started this scheme, Adarsh scheme, and this is scaled up by Punjab government, and it is really running very good. I have personally seen these schools in Ludhiana, and now with a strong collaboration with Bharti Group and government, Punjab government, this is running fine in the state, with 70% of the operational expenses coming from government and 50% of the capital expenses shared by the government. This is a very good model where 70%, a large piece of the entire operational expenses are borne by the state government, rather than generally what happens is they expect corporates to pump in more money and they will pump in less money. A lot of time the expectation is that, okay, why should I pump in? You fund, we will provide you all the infrastructure. So these are two case studies that I would like to share, and I think this is from my side. If I'm happy to take questions now. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
So thank you, because in a very nutshell kind of an explanation, you were able to explain us the concept of CSR and how it evolved and how it is, benefiting the social development sector. My question, or maybe one observation from the presentation is, Abhishek, that you said that we cannot own up these social development programs as corporates, and we can only supplement them, right? So I agree with you that we can supplement them and not own it up, because the kind of money that flows into these programs, corporates alone will not be able to pump that into the projects, because one of the slides that you showed were also talking about the data, the difference in the money that is spent and what we have as corporates. So my question to you is that since we cannot do that, but taking cue from the case studies that you discussed, can corporates be utilized as the research and development wings of Government of India, wherein they can do some pilot projects and then government can, you know, take them up, and if they are good enough, they can be scaled up, like you suggested a particular project of 108 ambulance one. So can that be one of the solutions for the kind of projects that we should be taking up under CSR?
Correct. I think this is now a new trend, emerging trend, where every corporate now feels that there is no point investing in taking the ownership of the entire group or entire community, because limited budget, limited bandwidth, limited reach. You can't expect any corporate to take up a project which is a state level project. Can I take IV as JSW Foundation do a lot of work with farmers, but I am doing it within the limited geography that I am there. But can I say that okay, I will reach out to 2 million farmers in I am at this point of time, I'm not sure will I be, because or I have to invest 100% of my corporate CSR fund plus other funds to do that. Then what will I do? I will start a project, which we did as JSW also, which we did. We started a project in Karnataka with a small farmers group of like 1,000, working very closely with you mentioned about R&D. ICRISAT is one of the pioneer UN institution for the scientific research on agriculture. We partner with ICRISAT, and now we have come up with a model which is now we are taking it to Government of Karnataka. So this is something you very well said, Shruti, that now CSR is actually acting like a R&D centers where they are piloting, innovating, coming up with some incubations, and now with the new startups which are coming up, there's a lot of support which corporates are now giving to startups to innovate some new tech-based solutions, some good programs which can reach out to large population with a limited funds. Because we also have to, what can we bring in on the board as corporate? We can bring in efficiency, we can bring in strong project management support, we can bring in strong reporting, we can bring in standardization, we can bring in, these are corporates USPs. Right. And this, once we integrate and have an embedded in a program and take it to the government, this is how a project runs. Cost optimization, manpower optimization, how this beautiful is this program has been run. And this is a program, this is a solution. Now you do it like that. This is something we need, and we take it forward to the government. And this is how the new trend is. Earlier, yes, earlier this was not the trend. A lot of corporates started with in their silos, as I also mentioned, because they had limited budgets in their silos. They were doing parallel programs. Government was also doing the same thing. We were also doing the same thing. Now there's a strong emerging trend coming up where a lot of corporates are partnering, collaborating with other corporates plus the government.
Yeah. So that was a very relevant answer. Another thing that comes to my mind, Abhishek, is that CSR is more of a concept rather than just being a law. But since we are still at that nascent stage wherein we are evolving as a concept, as an act in India, the role of government that I see in terms of the CSR Act is just limited to a watchdog role, wherein they are still, just trying to see to it that compliance is being done. So that kills the entire spirit of CSR, the concept. So how do you see the role of government evolving in the coming years with respect to CSR1, and also with this COVID thing right now with us, we need to be shifting to more sustainable practices, sustainable living lifestyles. So do you think that there needs to be some kind of a policy revamp in terms of CSR which needs to be done by the Government of India to see to it that this particular act becomes more relevant in these present times?
Correct. I think I don't know but government preempt this, and that something is going to come. I don't know what happened, but there's a draft rules which are now have come, and they have requested all the corporates to give their feedback. We also gave our feedback. What changes? You said like what changes? There will be a strong shift in the lens that government will be saying the CSR now, because till now government was saying, okay, corporates will take up this and they will we want money from corporate and they will do it everything. But during COVID time also we have seen, the role that government is playing, corporates are not able to play. Can we manage this kind of a crisis as corporate? No. But what we are doing, government and us are collaborating in a big way to handle this crisis. What we can do, supplement, in district administration, if there are like 5 ventilators required, 3 coming from government, 2 coming from corporates. If there's a immediate procurement, there's always a challenge of procurement in the government system. But PPE kits, if it is required right now in 2 days time, what can we do? Can corporate support that? Yes, corporate is doing those things. Government systems works very differently, corporate systems work very differently, but there is an alignment. Shift, what is coming up is now, since we all know there will be a strong challenge, economic challenge we will be facing as all companies. There will be cash flows issues for all the companies for spending on CSR. What is happening is now the government is coming up with the new rules where we need not spend your CSR money in the same year. But what you can do is, like, you can stagger your CSR money for 3 years, have a project and stagger it for 3 years. So next year budget will, it's not that this budget is lapsed. You can take this budget to next year and next year budget plus the next year budget and then take it to 3 years time. So you can have your programs, and now since there will be some sort of a challenge for every company for cash flow, so this will be an easy option for all of us also to stagger our projects for 3 years, stagger our funds, everything. So earlier there was a big issue about, there was a lot of discussion going on that there will be jail, if you are not able to spend, it's a non-compliance. Before that, there was only one thing that was coming up. Okay, you just have to give reason why you have not spent. But now there's a flexibility. Government is seeing this, that okay, corporates are really working hard and they are transparent in the CSR processes. So there's some flexibility we are getting. Some of the changes which will be coming in the next 1 month, 2 months time. Yeah.
Another thing which is very relevant to the policy aspect of CSR, are we doing anything about the implementation aspect of CSR? Again, the government, limits us in terms of implementation to be carried out by the foundation or the NGOs or the Section 8 companies, which leaves a lot of public sector companies into this confusion as to how to get their projects carried out. Because I have been working with a lot of public sector companies, and the first question is who's going to implement the project, because they don't want to let go their money to some NGO in some remote location where they can't be trusting them, and at the end of the day the responsibility to report comes to the company. So are there any flexibilities which we can be expecting in terms of who would be doing the implementation of the CSR other than those foundation, NGOs and Section 8 companies, which has been already delineated into the law?
So currently, in fact, they are becoming more strict. They're saying only Section 8 companies will be allowed to implement CSR. So this is a new in the draft amendments. This is a new change which has come up. Okay, not even in societies or a trust, they are not allowing that. They are only allowing Section 8 companies to be an implementing partner. But this is definitely going to change, because we have also given our recommendation, because a lot of time, you see NGOs are not Section 8 companies. They are either trust or they are society, registered as a society. So if you are not allowed, and who has an experience of development implementation? They are the NGOs. So you can't deny those NGOs from the CSR implementation just because they are not Section 8 companies. So we are working hard. So this is where our role comes. As a corporate people, we are working very hard with MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, to change these rules, change these. When you said about policy, to change these policies. And sometimes, I feel, since we again, I will go back to the same thing. Since you know the system, and you have, because of your academics, you understand the system, so you have a better chance, and you can convince the government in a better way. Okay, these are certain things. So that's why I always believe, I'm not comparing one subject to other, but I always believe that a public policy and a public administration as a subject really exposes you to a very different world, and I am a live example of that. I was a science student before taking a public administration, and I was very focused only on physics, chemistry, maths. And this subject actually changed my entire exposure. I said, okay, ye bhi hota hai, wo bhi hota hai. So these things, this sometimes, this one subject how much exposure it can bring it to you, you will only experience when you actually join and you go through that.
Okay. So I think we have discussed almost everything about CSR in this 1 hour. Just one last thing, any last words that you would like to say to the audience about how public policy and CSR are integrated and how this can be one of the careers which can be taken up for their future choices?
Sure. I think one of the, you just need to have a basic skill sets. You need to have a few skill sets, whether you are, which are non-negotiable. You need to be understanding. You need to be analytical. Number one, you need to be exposed to the different areas. You can't limit your knowledge to just. It should not have a limited knowledge. Third important piece is like how strong you are a project person, how strong you can manage your projects. And fourth important thing that takes one of the skill set is like a discipline. If wherever you go as a student, that discipline in the sector is required. So since as a public, you always, sometimes people believe, okay, and I'll join a development sector or an NGO, that's a relaxed job, and so those things now is gone. It's like expectations from any individual who is working in a corporate foundation is very different. So one has to learn, one has to be proactive, one has to be analytical, one has to be continuously learn, and then bring and definitely make a huge dent in the system and a change in the system for social development and social empowerment.
I would now conclude this webinar. Thank you, Abhishek, for being part of this webinar and for talking to our students and to the audience about how CSR and public policy can be integrated in one space. I think it was a great learning experience for all of us. So thank you once again. I'll now close the webinar.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you all for joining, and all the best to all of you.